Hey y'all, Brad Allen here, and I work with new and struggling agents who aren't closing deals consistently yet. Those who are stressed about income, those who are trying to make real estate actually pay the bills. And here's the truth. It's not about how busy you are. It's about where your energy actually goes. It's like being busy gives you an illusion of progress, but very few of us actually see the actions that lead to actually real closings. So once you understand this, you can start focusing on high probability actions that actually move your needle. Let's start with why so many new agents stay busy but don't close deals. And agents are busy, but they're not doing closing producing activities. That's a big difference, y'all. I see it all the time. I see agents that calendars are booked, their task lists are like 3 pages long, yet their closings are lacking severely because they're not doing the actually income closing producing activity. And they honestly confuse motion with progress because there's a few hidden issues. So here's the hidden issue I see most of the time, and it's low quality conversations. A lot of agents are having conversations, y'all. A lot of agents are saying, hey, I'm talking to a ton of people, but you know who they're talking to? Other agents, people in their office, vendors, inspectors, and people that are just looking, people that are taking their time, people that are wasting their time on stuff that's not actually going to come to fruition, or honestly, they're spending a ton of time on social media and they're not actually getting the intent down. They're getting the engagement, they're talking to people, but they're not getting to the meat of the problem, and that's finding people that need houses. And all this feels productive, but it doesn't lead to contracts. Hidden issue number 2 is agents like to pitch instead of diagnose, or better yet, you could say agents like to talk instead of listen. New agents tend to pitch instead of listening to what people actually need. They say, let me know if you need help, instead of, are you planning to move in the next 6 to 12 months? See, no timeline means no real deal. Hidden issue number 3 that I find is they have no follow-up system. Most deals close after 5 to 12 touches. New agents stop at 1 or 2, and that's the God honest truth. No system, no cadence, no follow-up equals no closings, y'all. So here's some actual steps that you can take to fix this. So here's what I would do. Step number 1, I would define a closing conversation. So from now on, a conversation only counts if you learn one of the following: their timeline, their motivation, who the decision maker is, and next steps are actually scheduled. My father-in-law always likes to say, don't leave a meeting without setting the next meeting. Y'all, that's sales number 101. So you've got to make sure you're doing one of those 4 things. And I'm going to tell them to you again. It's the conversation doesn't count, except unless you know their timeline, if they have their motivation and to what level, who's actually making decisions, because gosh knows we have a lot of conversations with people that actually aren't allowed to make the decisions or don't make decisions, not allowed. And the next step is actually scheduled, the follow-up conversations, the showing of houses, the buyer agency appointment, whatever it is. So guys, if there's no next step, it's not a lead. You just had a conversation. Congratulations. That's cool, but it didn't really count for a real estate conversation. Step 2, you got to replace the verbiage checking in. You got to change that to progress questions. Stop saying just checking in. Y'all, that is the worst thing you can do. Start asking progress questions. And so what does that look like? Here's an example. What would need to happen for you to move this year? What's stopping you right now? When should we look again? These questions move the conversation forward instead of keeping it vague. Y'all, clear's kind, right? If you don't get clarity from the conversation, you're wondering what next steps are. It's kind of like that old dating thing. Like, do I call them first? Do they call me first? I don't know. We didn't say when we're going to talk to each other. It's weird. Just have the conversation and they'll appreciate it because they'll know what's next as well. Step number 3, track follow-up all the time. Every lead should have a number next to it. Touch number 1, touch number 2, touch number 3. Everybody has their own system when it comes to this, so you might want to just look around and see what other ones are. We like to use the ABC rule: A, 0 to 30 days, B, 30 days to 6 months, and then C is 6 months to 1 year, right? Those are the ones we know, so we know their motivation. Some people like to do things differently. That's totally cool. No lead is allowed to stay at touch point number 1. Right? So touch point number 1 means you touched them, cool, but you got to keep moving down the line. One and done's not going to happen. You need to keep following up with leads till they die or take out a restraining order. Like that sounds extreme, but if you kind of follow that mentality, your body will actually react to it and let you to keep going because they know what the end result is. Now, I'm not saying you got to hustle them, you got to spam them every day, but you can follow up them consistently forever if you need to, because sometimes it takes years for your friend or family member to actually make a move. So let's talk about how to turn daily hustle into actual closings. See, most agents do real estate tasks, right? They check boxes, they do things that actually are, I call them passive, but they're not real income tasks, right? I think making flyers, cool if you want to make flyers, but is that making you money? Maybe if you go do something with said thing. So just making a flyer to put in your house, not really that important. Making a flyer to go door knock and give it to all the neighbors, income producing. And you need to move from task-based days to conversation-based days. How many of y'all sit there every day, you have a to-do list, and you just work down the to-do list? Imagine if you flipped the script and you had number of conversations you had to do, and then in the time that you had left, you knocked out your task. Might work. Every single day needs all three buckets. And so we're going to talk about the 3 daily buckets. One is new conversations, which is your future pipeline, right? New people into the process. 2, follow-up conversations, your active pipeline, right? These are people that have said, yes, I have interest. Yes, I'm going to be doing something. Those are your follow-up. And then your third one are your relationship conversations. This is your referral pipeline. This is your past clients that love to send you business. These are people out of state that love to connect you with other people moving to your market. These are vendors. These are all those kinds of people. So you got 3, right? So let me go over those one more time for you. You need to be focused on new conversations, then follow-up conversations, then relationship conversations in that order. New conversations, you always got to be finding business. You got to be feeding the fire constantly or it will go out. Once you have that, then you have the follow-ups. Hey, Steve said he's looking next month. Hey, it's been next month. Let's give Steve a call. And the relationship is just the check-ins with your friends, your family, the people that pour into your business, the lunch appointments, those things that are constantly feeding that business as well. And if a day passes without you doing all 3 of these, you've got an income gap following, right? So how many of us have heard what you do from now will affect you 90 days from now? Same thing. If you miss several days of this, guess what? You're going to see an income gap somewhere down the road. And I know we like to take vacations. We like to take long weekends. Guys, you got to make up for it or do it while you're gone. Just spend an hour doing it. But you got to keep feeding your pipeline. Step 2 is the 2-hour rule. So before you do any emails, before you check the MLS, before you start making something on Canva, before you start filling your time with random training, you prioritize 2 hours of pure conversation generation. 2 hours. Those are calls, voice text, real messages. They're not scrolling on social media. It's not posting things on social media, and it's not engagement. It is actual conversations. I know, it's scary. You're going to have to pick up the phone. I get it. Step 3, use this daily question at the end of each day so you know if you're making progress. You need to ask yourself, did I speak to someone today who could have realistically moved in the next 12 months? If the answer is no, that day didn't produce income. Here's the thing. If that day didn't produce income, here's what I would encourage you to do. You don't stop until you have that conversation. You may have one conversation and get one answer that gives you that answer of yes, they're going to move the next 12 months. You may have 100 conversations that day. You never know how many it's going to take. But if you focused on the actual results and not the actual number of calls or the number of conversations, guess what? You're really going to be winning then because you're not going to stop until you get it. And I know you're like, I don't have enough people to call. That's a whole different video you can watch on how to find business. But just think of it that way. Think of it being that relentless. Think of that focused that you will get a conversation with somebody that is going to move in the next 12 days. 12 months, excuse me, not 12 days. That'd be cool too. Here's some simple steps to track what produces income. So stop tracking everything and track only these 5 metrics if you really want to focus on this. New conversations, follow-up conversations, people with a timeline identified, appointments set, contracts written. You can do tally marks, you can put it into a spreadsheet, you can do a Google form, whatever you want to do. But if you track these, don't you think you can start seeing where you may be lacking or where you need help? Because a lot of us don't know until we see the math. So if I had an agent that did these and they came to me and they had a ton of new conversations, but the people with the timeline identified was 1/4 of it, then we know that we're having a conversation issue and maybe we need to work on that. Or if they are talking to people and they're having the follow-up conversations, but no appointments are getting set, then we need to talk about their conversation still. Or the appointments are set, but they're not writing contracts, right? You see where I'm going with this? We can see the gaps. And once you see the gaps, guys, you can fix it. And that's what real estate's all about. That's what sales are about. That's what life is all about. You've got to track it so you know what's going on. So everything else, y'all, is just going to be noise. So the weekly scorecard formula at the end of each week needs to look like this. And I want you to look at this maybe on Sundays. You know, I'm a big advocate of doing things on Sundays. Did conversations increase? Did appointments increase? Did contracts increase? If conversations went up, but contracts didn't, you've got a conversation quality problem. So focus on these. When closings slow down, don't say, I need more leads. What you need to say is, I need more real conversations. So much of us are out there trying to find new business, doing open houses, cold calling people. But have we exhausted our network? And I'm not saying exhaust them, but have we gone through our network, our database, to have those real conversations? So closings don't come from being busy, y'all. Like, you know that because you would be crushing it right now if it came from being busy, because I'm sure you're slammed with things to do. They come from consistent, real conversations with motivated people that are tracked and followed up with. So in the next episode, I'm going to show you the first list you should make if you need a deal fast. It's not going to be a random list. It's not going to be a hope list. It's going to be the exact people and opportunities most likely to turn into conversations, appointments, and contracts. If you've ever said, I just need one deal to breathe, the next episode is built exactly for you.